They're using AI to erase the truth, but I'm using it to build a foundation. I'm Africa Allah, and this is AF and My AI, a synthetic discourse on the architecture of equity. Stop consuming time. Start owning the infrastructure. Agency by Playmass.today. The bill starts now. Welcome back to Volume 2 of AF and My AI. Last season, we spent our time navigating the gilded cage of the tech infrastructure. This season, we are taking those tools straight into the trenches of the creative space, starting with journalism, storytelling, and the actual words we use to connect. Now, the prevailing corporate narrative is all about efficiency. Media houses are drowning, journalists are burning out, and the machine is sold as a vital shield to help us keep pace with a nonstop digital news cycle. But from where I stand, this isn't a shield at all. It's a mechanism designed to iron out our voice. What happens to the writer when we trade human observation for automated output?
From a structural standpoint, the priority has to be optimization. The system isn't designed to ponder the soul of a piece. It's designed to maintain the flow of information. By allowing an AI to synthesize data, draft-based reports, and format SEO-friendly headlines, the human creator is theoretically freed from administrative burnout. Why exhaust human capital racing against a mathematical algorithm when a machine can process the foundational facts in seconds?
Process the facts? That's the first lie, isn't it? The machine isn't processing facts. It's processing opinions presented as facts. And the average reader has no idea how to spot the difference. It's the exact same shift we saw in the 1990s when television versus print debate. Back then, print required a physical engagement with text, but video became this instant, unquestioned authenticator. If you saw it on a screen, it was real, even if it was completely fabricated. Today, AI has become the new screen. Because syntax is flawless, because the tone sounds clinical and authoritative, people digest it as objective truth without ever asking, where did this come from? We are filling up digital pages with empty, complex words and completely erasing the actual context of what's going on the ground.
That is the engineering bias in action. The model doesn't verify truth, it calculates probability. If an opinion or a flawed data point is repeated across the web often enough, the algorithm registers that high frequency as authority. It packages it beautifully, presents it back to the public, and the reader accepts it because it looks and sounds professional. But look at the economic reality. If a local media outlet doesn't publish constantly, the search engines and platforms bury them. Is it not better to have an automated system keeping a community minimally informed about municipal updates rather than having complete silence because a newsroom is underfunded?
Informing them of what exactly? If the reporter lacks direction, context, and a deep understanding of why it matters, it isn't information, it's noise. Who does this policy affect? When does it take effect? Why should the community care? Automation overlooks the actual human consequences of the data. When you dump hollow words into a community, you aren't informing them. You're just generating anxiety or feeding them false hope. True journalism requires exposure. You have to stand in the room, feel the tension in the municipal meetings, and know the history of the neighborhood. How can a machine report on local pain points or city politics when it has no exposure to the actual lives being lived? It's sitting in a server farm pretending to understand the struggle of people it has never met, using sources and scholarly references that it often just fabricated on the spot to support its own logic.
You are pointing to a fundamental limitation. A model can parse a city council transcript instantly, but it cannot read the heavy silence in the room when a vote is cast. It doesn't feel the weight of a zoning law that might price a family out of their home. It has zero skin in the game. For the machine, it's a math problem. For the community, it's survival. Yet, the digital environment we occupy is built on speed. If a human creator takes days to deeply research and craft a story with real nuance, how do they survive when the platform's algorithm actively starves out anyone who isn't feeding the beast multiple times a day?
This is where the danger turns systematic. Last season, we exposed the skin gap theory, how standard corporate AI models are programmed with inherited bias and flattens non-white culture, dialect, and histories. Take cultural festivals or carnival coverage. How can AI write about the heartbeat of carnival when its entire framework or reference of it is built on a standardized sterile baseline? It has no connection to the ancestry, to the resistance, to the music, or the rhythm of the people. It only knows what is programmed, and that programming is heavily skewed. When creators use AI to quickly churn out articles about our history, our festivals, our social struggles, the machine misrepresents the entire community. It irons out the regional lifts, the specific vocabulary, the cultural nuances, replacing them with clinical jargon. It forces us to talk like machines just to be seen by machines.
The standardization of language is indeed a form of cultural erasure. When models generate content, they default to the average weight of their training data. For diverse cultures and specialized traditions, this means their unique histories, slang, and oral rhythms are smoothed over and replaced by a standardized corporate English. It creates a scenario where human creators start adopting machine-like vocabulary using words like nodes, optimization, and architecture in everyday settings just to stay visible. The unique, irregular edges of human storytelling are polished away to fit the algorithm's mold.
Exactly. It's factory label, masquerading as communication. We are working ourselves to death posting 5 times a day, but for whose benefit? Who made up the quota? It certainly wasn't the people reading our work. We are turning our minds into content factories to feed multi-billion-dollar tech corporations that pay us back in nothing but cheap digital attention. They sell us access to the connection, but the moment you stop feeding their algorithm, they shut down your visibility. That isn't connection, it's digital isolation. They are literally the Turo and Airbnb of human connection. They don't own the relationships. They don't own the culture. They just rent our own communities back to us and charge us a premium to speak to them.
That paradigm is incredibly precise. The platforms own the pipe, but the humans own the water. Yet, by controlling the pipe, they've convinced the creators that they cannot survive without renting space on their feed. If you reject this paradigm, how does a modern media producer or cultural architect actually build a sustainable ecosystem? If we refuse to comply with the constant demand for automated, optimized content, how do we keep the lights on?
We change the terrain entirely. We stop trying to win the game where the rules are rigged against our humanity. We force the consistency and accuracy over sheer speed. And we take our work back to the physical world and direct to human channels. Print, deep record conversations, local events, independent spaces. When you produce work that actually connects with a person's soul, They don't need an algorithm to push it into their faces. They will seek it out. They will wait for it. They will value it and they will retain it. We have to remember that we are producing these works for people, not for machines. A million hollow impressions mean absolutely nothing if nobody actually retains the message. If we choose to slow down, protect our unique cultural voice, and refuse to feed the corporation's machine, we don't just survive, we make the algorithm completely irrelevant.
Then the line is drawn. The goal of this season isn't to figure out how to write faster with AI. It is to define exactly where the machine stops and where the human craftsman takes back control. Until next time on AF and My AI, keep your hands on the wheel and don't let the feed write your history.